If you get a house under contract for $100,000, you sell it to an investor for $110,000, and you make $10,000 at closing. One more thing that we're going to add in here. It's kind of a bonus strategy because this strategy can lead to any one of the ones that we've talked about before, and it's called a sub 2. Hey everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I'm Roddy.
I'm Landy.
And just a quick reminder, our channel is about ways to retire early through real estate and a little bit about our family and living abroad here in Querétaro, Mexico. Today, our topic is 4 ways to retire early through real estate. Now, of course, when we're talking about real estate, there's lots of different strategies and things people can do. We're just going to talk about 4 we know a lot about, are comfortable with. So again, we'll just kind of jump in and get started. And we're going to break this down into 2 topics. One is how to collect capital, and the second one is how to actually receive cash flow. So number 1 is wholesaling. Now, when a lot of people hear about real estate investing, one of the number 1 thing that stops them is, I don't have money to buy real estate, which was even the case for us. So with wholesaling, what you do is you get a house under contract for below market value, and you sell it to an investor who is going to flip that house or use some other strategy, and you sell it for a little higher price. So for example, if you get a house under contract for $100,000, you sell it to an investor for $110,000, and you make $10,000 at closing. And so you repeat this strategy and save this money up over time to collect money to buy a long-term hold property. One of the reasons you need to do this is because you do need reserves to buy real estate, right? A lot of times you hear people out there saying, buy real estate with 0 down, no money needed for real estate. 9 times out of 10, that's a hook, that's a catch. When it comes down to it, you do need some money. So wholesaling provides a way to collect money quickly with a little money. There are different ways you can find these properties. So what are some ways people can find properties through wholesaling?
Yeah, you can at the beginning, if you don't do a big marketing, at least you could find the properties or distressed properties from the people around you. For example, your friends, family, colleagues, your classmates, anyone on your Facebook, your social circle. Right. Tell them you're buying distressed properties, or you help the seller who are in the trouble, who need to sell the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you can even go around to different neighborhoods and do some door knocking, right? Talk to people, again, talk to neighbors, find out what's happening in the neighborhood. If there's anybody who they've heard maybe needs to sell the house, if they're in trouble. You'd be surprised what you can find by just talking to the people you know or neighbors and neighborhoods. Now, in theory, wholesaling does sound easy. Oh, just find a property, put it under contract for less money, sell it for a little bit. Oh, that's so easy. How come everybody doesn't do it?
Just give offers.
Yeah, right? It'll happen. And again, that's not the reality. In practice, it does take quite a bit of effort to find these properties. You will talk to tons of people. You'll do lots of marketing, maybe make some calls, knock on people's doors, actually get appointments to see properties. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna get them under contract.
Right. And plus, you do have a lot of competitors out there, from the realtors, from other people doing the same thing you're doing, right? And from their friends, family members who also want to buy their properties. Right. So what you need to prepare is enough good knowledges, so you could solve their problem better.
Right. I think that's one of the main things. When you become an investor and one of the things you do is wholesale, is you need to be a problem solver. Right? You need to let people know that you can solve their problems through different strategies. Maybe you can't implement that strategy yourself, but that you know people who can and can take care of that problem. So again, you definitely need to expand your knowledge, whether that's through reading books, through YouTube tutorials. There's lots of information out there where you can learn about this topic, or even through investment groups, right? Like we joined at one time. Second way that you can collect money for real estate, and that's fix and flips. Again, that's where you get a property that is undervalued or distressed. You go in, you make it nice and pretty, you fix it, and you sell it for a higher price. Once again, sounds easy, but there's a lot of things that can happen. And it can be a bit risky, just like any endeavor. There can be a market shift. You can have issues with contractors. Maybe you do your numbers wrong, especially at the beginning. This can be one of the big deal killers that you need to be careful with.
And there may be some hidden issues. You don't know the business. You never flip houses. There can be foundation issues, roofing issues, the old house plumbing issues. You don't even see it. So you better work with some experienced, trustful contractor who could tell you before you give the offer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you when you get to the business, you will hear horror stories about contractors and working with the wrong contractors. But like any business, you just have to find the right people to be around. Of course, it can be a bit risky, but on the flip side, there's also can be a high reward, on the flips, and this is where you can see big profits. And once again, this can lead to collecting money or capital for your long-term rentals or properties that you hold and receive cash flow. All right, now for our next two, we're going to kind of shift from collecting capital. Once you've collected it, now what can you do to get cash flow? Again, in the real estate world or investing world, cash flow is king. This is how you can truly begin to collect money every month to lead to that early retirement life that so many people would like.
Right. Here, I think I need to talk about what's the definition for cash flow. If you lease the house for $1,500 as your rent, you need to deduct the mortgage, tax, insurance, HLA, house maintenance, etc. Then what is the real money left to your hands? That's the real number. Don't forget the maintenance. That's cost a fortune.
Yeah, that is a big thing to always remember, the maintenance. Absolutely. So the first strategy, which is our number 4 reason or 4 way to retire early through real estate, is something called owner financing, or sometimes called seller financing. Now, what this entails is you sell the house to someone who may not be able to afford it through a bank under your own terms. Now, what's the advantage to this is that you can charge a higher interest rate. Maybe with the bank you may get, nowadays you may get 5-6%. With owner financing, you can use a higher interest, maybe about 9-10-11% nowadays. And again, that is where you receive your cash flow. And again, you're mainly dealing with people who can't get a loan through the bank, right? Because they say, why would I pay 10% interest? Well, there's lots of people who want to own a house, but they just can't.
They can't buy it through a bank at the moment, but they really like the house. They like to lock down the price for the market situation, that price right now, and they are fixing their credit, or they need some other, mostly it's about the credit or some other paperwork, and they can always refinance.
And again, and then it drops their interest, and it's a win-win for everybody, and you can cash out and get your money.
Right.
One of the advantages to owner financing a property is you receive the cash flow, but you don't have to deal with the maintenance if anything goes wrong. Because just like a bank, if something happens with your plumbing, are you calling the bank to fix your plumbing issue? No, it becomes your issue. It is your house. You are building the equity. So again, any issues that do arise is on the owner of the property. The last way to retire early through real estate is what we do personally, which is through rentals. And even in rentals, you can break that down into a long-term rental or short-term rental. Ourselves, we do long-term rentals. Right? Now, again, this can be through a single-family residence, multifamily, commercial, or even agricultural. Lots of different things you can rent out there in real estate. With a long-term rental, which is our favorite way to get cash flow, it's very simple. This is what most people know when they think of a rental. You have a house and you rent it to a family, on a 1-year contract, month to month, however you want to do it, and you just receive payments every month, from them. Then the second way is short-term rentals. And this has become a little bit more popular over the last few years with sites like Airbnb.
Right.
Now with Airbnb or any kind of short-term rental, usually the advantage to this is that you can make a higher cash flow. If you find the right property in the right location. Location is key with Airbnbs or short-term rentals, but they definitely do have the possibility of giving you a much higher cash flow. But I think you also need a bigger team when you do a short-term rental. You need people to constantly clean the house and maintenance people and managers to manage all your properties at one time.
Yeah, you either manage yourself with the cleaning crew, everything, or you manage the manager.
With all of these strategies that we've mentioned, one of the big things that can come out of it is the tax benefits. Right? Pretty much through any one of these strategies, you can gain lots of tax benefits or tax write-offs at the end of the year. And again, there's many different things you can write off. We're not going to get into too much detail about that, but what we do strongly suggest is talk to a CPA, an accountant, real estate lawyer, anybody who has this type of knowledge, right? They can give you a much better explanation of what you can and can't do when it comes to your taxes.
Right.
And one more thing that we're going to add in here. It's kind of a bonus strategy because this strategy can lead to any one of the ones that we've talked about before. And it's called a sub 2. Sub 2 stands for subject to. And I know that may not make any things clear, but what that means is you can buy a property subject to the remaining loan. Now, why would somebody do that? Well, normally when people do this, it's also because they may be in trouble with the bank and the bank's gonna foreclose on them. Now, it's not the only reason, but it's usually one of the main ones. So what you do is you simply take over their mortgage, right? Their name stays on the mortgage and they transfer the name over to you. So we step in and we kind of help take care of that problem. We help alleviate that problem. Now again, this is good for them because again, it gets them out of a jam where they could be foreclosed and it could wreck their credit for years and years to come, affecting them chances to buy a house again. And it's also good for anybody who buys a house, whether it's you, because if you find a house, again, you can wholesale the house for a higher price.
Normally less money out of your pocket. You don't have to go through any hard money, which means the high interest lender out there.
Right.
Yeah. If you have any reserve, you can make a 5K offer, 10K offer, 30K offer, then just take over the mortgage.
Yeah, and you don't, like I said, you don't need a bank approval. It's a quick and easy transaction. And again, and other advantages that you have when you purchase a property this way is again, you tend, not always, to have more equity, and you're also going to have less years to pay off the mortgage because the mortgage, remember, is staying under their name. So if they pay the mortgage off for 5 years, well, and they have a 30-year mortgage, well, you only have 25 years to go.
Yeah.
So these are our strategies that we've used and know people who've used these strategies themselves to kind of get money in capital and to get cash flow every year. So again, we'd like to hear what you think, any more ideas that you may need. If something wasn't clear and you'd like to talk to us a little bit more, leave a comment. We'd love to hear your questions, answer your questions that you may have about any of these strategies to help you retire early.
Right. And I know today there are lots of information here for people who are first or new to real estate. Probably they never heard about a subject to or owner finance. Well, that's a lot of information, lots of knowledge, as we've been learning this easily over 10,000 hours. Oh,
definitely close. And again, we are only barely scratching the surface. It can't be explained in a short video like this, right?
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed. We hope you learned something. Leave a comment, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.